Welcome back, everybody, to this week's National Public Library's Entrepreneurship and Career Program. And today I have with me Mr. Lawrence Mclean from the Beach Safety and Security Unit at the Ministry of Tourism. Hello, Mr. Mclean.
Hello, guys. How are you doing? Good afternoon.
Welcome to the National Public Library. Surely you're not a stranger. Is this your first time visiting us here at the Public Library?
No, I was here a couple of times back. Not a frequent user, but not my first time.
Okay. So tell us about the Beach Safety and Security Unit. What do you guys do?
The Beach Safety and Security Unit is responsible for all the beaches in Antigua. We're not over in Barbuda as yet, but mostly in Antigua. The responsibility of the Beach Safety and Security Unit is to make sure that our beaches are safe for not only visitors, but for locals alike. The Beach Safety and Security Unit is comprised of lifeguards and beach control officers. Right? The lifeguard is responsible, the primary responsibility is prevention. The beach control officer primary responsibility is also prevention. Right? But there's some differences in the job descriptions of both lifeguard and beach control officers.
Okay. So what role do you play within this unit?
What role
do you play within this unit?
You're not coming through clearly.
Oh my. I was asking, what role do you play within the unit?
Oh, well, my role is, my name speaks for itself, technical trainer. I'm responsible for the training of the staff. My responsibility is basically training, and the training consists of different things. For instance, the lifeguards has to do with water. Beach control officers have to do with security of the beach. So you consider the differences in those two job titles. I don't know if you want me to go into the different training techniques for lifeguards and beach control officers. All right, so
that would be nice.
Okay, so for a lifeguard training consists of a number of things. Right, the lifeguards is trained on the skill, knowledge, physical fitness, and judgment. Right, the beach control officers, they don't really have to do much of what the lifeguard do. If they have some swimming ability, that's okay. Their responsibility is to make sure that there's no sand mining. They make sure that the vendors who are vending on the beach, their license are up to date. There are no illegal vending, because that is very prevalent now in Antigua. So their responsibility is to make sure that the vending is done in a more legal way. Sand vending, sand mining is also not prohibited. We're not allowing it on the beach, because there's sometimes where people will come and say, "Hey, listen, I'm taking a bucket of sand." A bucket of sand end up to be like a whole truck full of sand and so forth. Right, so the beach control officers, their responsibility is to make sure that none of this happens. Back to the lifeguard. No, the lifeguard responsibility is, as I mentioned before, is prevention. Right, they're there to make sure that everybody have a safe time on the beach. Right, so they're basically there to make sure that people come to the beach, swim where they're supposed to be swimming. Right, doing snorkeling where they're supposed to be doing their snorkeling. Also, if there is a near drowning or active drowning situation, a lifeguard responsibility is to quell that situation. They're also trained as public relation officers and they should be very good problem solvers as well. Because it's not everybody come to the beach to swim. Some people just come just to do the exercise, walk up and down the beach, horseback riding, things of that sort.
Nice. It's so basically lifeguards are everything going on in the water and on the beach, and the other officers are just basically control what happens on the shore.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Okay. So what does an average day for you guys look like?
The average day?
Mm-hmm.
The average day, well, good question. For instance, we have like a cruise ship in. Let's say we have 4 cruise ships in.
Mhm.
Depending on the beach, you have beach control officers and lifeguards. For instance, Dickerson is normally a very busy beach. Um, Valley Church is also a very busy beach. There are times when Long Bay is packed. So these beaches can be very hectic, on particular days. Average day for a lifeguard would be, you come to the beach, do 1 or 2 patrolling, and then if there isn't if there isn't much people on the beach, you can just do a swim just to keep yourself in shape and so forth. Or you just relax, reading a book, because the cruise ship season, the reason why I'm saying is the cruise ship season only lasts for, I think, 6 to 8 months. Throughout that 6 to 8 months is not every day you will get cruise ship in.
Mm-hmm.
Once cruise ship is in, our average day is going to be busy on those beaches that I just mentioned. Long Bay, um, Valley Church, Dickerson Bay, and there are times when Runaway and Fort James are busy as well too. So our average day, it can be very busy.
Okay. So apart from those beaches, are you at any other beaches?
Yes, we cover Darkwood Beach, Fry's Beach, that's Big Fries and Little Fries. Cover Turner's Beach, Buccaneer Cove. At one time, we had lifeguard out at Jabberwock Beach, and we're looking to bring on board Half Moon Bay and Oxdale. I don't know if there any discussion in bringing beach over at Old Road, Morris Bay, on under supervision as well. But those are the beaches that we cover.
Okay. So roughly from what time to what time are you guys usually on the beach? Because I see you guys in town all the time, but I don't really see you physically at the beach.
Our working hours are between 8 to 4:30, Monday to Friday. We don't work on the weekends. Right? I shouldn't say we don't work on the weekends, but for instance, because of the COVID, if it wasn't for the COVID, we'd be working this weekend, because this weekend would have been a very busy week.
Yeah.
A busy weekend for the beach. It's Good Friday, Easter Monday. So on public holidays, yeah, we usually work. Labor Day, we are at Fort James mostly, and out at Fry's Beach. Any other public holidays, yeah, we try to utilize the beach that we know are going to be very busy.
And ladies and gentlemen, act responsibly. You know we are not supposed to be on the beaches this weekend. Don't take a chance, because it's going to be very expensive. So stay off the beaches this weekend, just to remind you.
Good advice.
Yeah. Because I'm told it's not fun being hauled in the first instance, and it's not fun paying it out after the fact. So I mean, is it really worth it for a 5 minutes in the water before police come for you?
That's true. That's true. Good advice.
All right. So, what qualifications and certifications do you guys have to do, or do you have like electives that you take?
What qualifications?
Do,
Presently, the lifeguards are trained under the Canadian Life Saving Society. Right, our training is done under those guidelines. We usually have a gentleman in the name of Patship. I can't remember his last name, but he's from Guyana, but he basically resides in Canada. And the last training that we did with him was in, I think, 2008, right, where a couple of our lifeguards were trained under the Canadian Life Saving Society guidelines. It's a very robust program, can be very intense. Time has to do with a lot of swimming, life saving skills, also first aid and CPR, and so forth. So our lifeguards are trained under this program, the Canadian Life Saving Society program.
oh, cool. And then you also said that you guys are continuously doing training throughout the year just to keep
Yeah,
yourselves up and active. Okay, cool. So, how
yeah.
long have you been in this position?
Um, I started in 2003. I joined the unit, I think, in March, February. So I trained for about February 2003. So I trained for about 2 months or so, and then I was hired in April, I think late April 2003, right? And I've been in the government system counting, some 18 years plus now, right? And it's a job that I love very much. I go up around water. I'm from Param, learn to swim in Param Harbor. And as I told you previously, we were talking, I almost drowned twice, but that didn't deter me from, you know, from from being around the water. So
So, 18 years is a long time. That is a whole adult.
yes.
um, During that time, you must have acquired a lot of experiences, a lot of memories. What would you say are some of your favorite memories from your job?
Good question again. During my 18 years within the unit, I've acquired a number of certificates. First of all, I'm a trained and certified lifeguard. I'm also trained in and being certified in scuba diving.
Oh,
I'm also a certified swimming instructor and also a trained and certified EMT. So over the 18-year period, there are also other areas that I'm training, but it's a long list. So those are just some of the areas that I'm training. We're presently trying to get some of our lifeguards to be trained in similar areas, right? So that you just don't come to the unit just to be a lifeguard, right? You come to elevate yourself so that you can be more than a lifeguard. Or if you decide to, you know, choose another career path, right? You won't have any problem doing so because you'll be trained in other areas.
yeah, you won't necessarily be starting directly from scratch. You just
Yeah.
continue and naturally progress.
Yes.
That's
Exactly.
cool.
Exactly.
I didn't realize that you were proficient in so many things. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, in any profession, there are ups and there are downs. So, what would you say is your least favorite part of your job, and what keeps you motivated to keep going?
In any in,
Oh, I was saying any profession, there are ups and there are downs.
yeah,
And so I was asking, what is your least favorite part of your job? And also, what keeps you motivated even through the tough
my
times?
favorite part of the job.
Your least
Oh,
favorite
least
part.
favorite.
Mhm.
And what keep me motivated? Okay. All right. So my least favorite part of the job would be not having anything to do. Yeah, the job can be very boring at times, where you go on the beach, and especially when there's no cruise shipping,
Mhm.
right? You probably just see one or two locals just come and just have their sea bath and so forth and then leave. And, but I think most of our lifeguards likes when, the beach is packed. It gives them a sense of worth, a sense of being, a sense of being a part of something, important.
Mhm.
So they can exercise, their expertise, right? But my least part of the job is being on the job and not having anything to do. It's just demotivated. But what motivates me, okay, as I just mentioned, is having a packed beach, right? And you're just watching, hoping that nothing happens, right? Because as a lifeguard, you can be very exhausted if you're making rescue here, there, and everywhere and so forth. Because making a rescue is not easy, especially if that rescue entails a long swim,
Mm.
right? So that motivates me where the beach is packed.
Mhm.
So I have to be on my P's and Q's, and the least motivating is when the beach is not packed. It becomes very boring.
Do you guys usually work solo or do you work in small teams on the beach?
No, we don't work solo. Right? We're not supposed to be working solo. Lifeguard usually work in pairs,
Mm.
right? You usually have a team. So your team could consist of two lifeguards and two beach control officers,
Mhm.
or it could be depending on the length of the beach. For instance,
Mhm.
Long Bay,
Mhm.
Long Bay, we would just put two lifeguards. Again, depending on the length of the beach and the number of patrons using the beach.
Mhm.
Because as short as Long Bay is, if it's packed, it's gonna be too overwhelming for just for two lifeguards and two beach control officers. So the more patrons you have on the beach,
Mhm.
the more lifeguards and more beach control officers you're gonna need on that beach.
At what point did you decide that this is the job for me? This is what I want to do.
Good question again. I would say maybe about 2, 3 years into being a lifeguard. And after I realized that the amount of training that I can get
Mm.
without spending your own money, right? It's the government training you,
Mhm.
right? And they have all right to do so because you're working for them. They want the best, right?
Mhm.
So doing the training, um, I basically kind of get a knack for just always want to make sure that I'm updating my skills, right, for the job. Not only as a lifeguard, as I just mentioned to you before, that because of this job,
Mhm.
I get to do scuba diving. Because of this job, I get to do a EMT course. Because of this job, I get to do a boat handler's course. If it wasn't for this job, I don't think I'll be certified in those areas. Right. So I have this job to thank for everything that I've accomplished so far.
Nice. What advice would you give to persons who are considering becoming a lifeguard? What are the pros and cons?
Okay. Um, if you're looking to be a lifeguard, a professional lifeguard, right? A professional lifeguard must be a strong swimmer. There are times in the past where we would hire lifeguards whose swimming ability is not that strong. But the reason why we would hire them is because we can always improve your swimming ability. So you can come into the unit to be a lifeguard with weak swimming ability, and then as you evolve into the job, your swimming becomes very strong because we have done it with a number of our lifeguards, right? That's one of the, if I want to use cons. You have to can swim to be a lifeguard, right? A beach control officer, no. Right? Beach control officer basically you would you have like maybe some security ability, right? Then you could be hired as a beach control officer, right? So lifeguard, you must be able to swim and swim for long distance as well too, right? You must be able to write a report,
Mm.
right? Because in case of an emergency or incident,
Mhm.
right, the lifeguards who makes the rescue
Mhm.
would normally be the one who writes the report,
Mhm.
right? The con is if you can't swim, it don't make no sense you come to get a job as a lifeguard. Yeah, you won't be hired. We probably recommend you to be a beach control officer rather than a lifeguard. Because the name itself, lifeguard,
Mhm.
speaks for itself, right? It's the person's life you're saving, right?
Mhm.
And there's a reason why we train lifeguards. Um, the lifeguard training is very intense and robust
Mhm.
because we want our best out of the candidates that come for training. Right. So first you must be able to can swim. And if you can't swim, you won't be hired as a lifeguard.
Okay. What advice do you have for those of us who are not lifeguards or not even really interested in becoming lifeguards, but just avid beachgoers? What advice do you have for us for staying safe on the beach?
Okay. So you go to the beach, you're a frequent beach user to a particular beach, you should know the physical characteristic of that beach. And what I mean by that is you should know which part of that beach is good for swimming, which part is good for snorkeling, fishing, um, even scuba diving, right? Because what you don't want is you go to a particular beach and there's a part that might have reefs, like Long Bay, have reefs and so forth, and you the water might not be that clear, right? You don't know the physical characteristic of the beach. You stumble upon the reef and you get injured. You don't want that.
Mhm.
Also, some beaches that have a deep drop off, right? Depending on how the surf is rolling in, right? It will create a drop off
Mhm.
where you go into the water, you're not expecting a drop off,
Mhm.
but bam, there is a drop off, and you end up in about 2 feet of water becomes 4, 5 feet of water, and some people panic very easily, start to panic,
Mhm.
and you end up where a lifeguard have to make a rescue. Believe it or not, most drowning takes place in shallow water, where the person can stand,
Mhm.
but because of their panicking and not in the right frame of mind,
Mhm.
right, they end up drowning, right? So my advice is to make sure that you know your physical characteristics of the beach that you frequent, not only for yourself, but for maybe someone, a friend that may come from overseas that you're taking to the beach for the first time, so that you can inform that person of the different areas of the beach to be aware of.
Okay. What should we as bystanders do if we think we see someone who is in danger in the water?
What
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 should
would
we as bystanders do if we think there's someone in danger in the water? If there's no lifeguard on the beach and we see somebody out there and it looks like it's trouble, what should we do? What steps can we take to assist?
okay, that's another very good question again, because humans at time, especially if you can swim,
Mhm.
we think sometimes we're superhumans, right?
Mhm.
And that can create a problem where if you're not trained within the field, right, you might want to think that, hey, we can swim, we're going to save this person, right? And instead of having one drowning victim, you have two.
Mhm.
And advice to that person would be at at that particular time where there's an incident, you have a near drowning situation, you think of the situation where do I have a flotation device to make that rescue? Yes, you can swim, you're a strong swimmer,
Mhm.
right? But it takes more than that to save someone from drowning,
Mhm.
right? So it don't make no sense that you're going to put yourself in a predicament and end up losing your life, right? So think before you act.
Mhm.
We as lifeguard, we have um, it's a phrase where we use before we actually make a rescue, right? You recognize, right? You assess, and you act before you make a rescue, right? You recognize that someone is in problem and they need help. You assess the situation because you don't want to swim out there, right? And that the person is being attacked by a aquatic animal, right?
Mhm.
And once you make your assessment, right,
Mhm.
you act by making your swim, okay? And recognizing, assessing, and acting should only take a few seconds. You can't be there, and if the person that need help, boy, and the person just shout out help and go down and come up. Yeah, you recognize, you assess, and you act, and you make your move.
Regarding flotation devices, I notice you have two orange things next to you there. You mind showing them to us and showing us what they do?
Okay, so this flotation device that I have here, right?
Mhm.
This is called a rescue can, right? It is hollowed, molded in a hollowed shape,
Mhm.
right? And it is filled with air.
Mhm.
It is hard plastic. The plastic is polyethylene plastic, right?
Mhm.
You have to be very careful with this because this can hurt someone if you throw it
And it hits
right to
them.
them,
Mhm.
right? Because it's very hard, right? Now, the rescue can save at least three persons. Have a person holding on to one side here, the right side or left side, and in the back,
Mhm.
right? Three conscious persons, I should say.
Mhm.
Okay, it's about 3 feet in length, 3.5 feet in length, right? And then you have the string, the strap that goes around the lifeguard shoulder, and then you have the excess string, right? That the lifeguard swim to tow the person or victims back to safety, right? This is the rescue can made from polyethylene plastic, and it's molded in a hollow shape filled with air, so it is very buoyant. Right? And then you have the next piece of equipment that I have. This is a rescue tube, right? And this rescue tube is made from a material called vinyl.
Mhm.
Material called vinyl. Okay, it's a kind of plastic type of material, right? And this is very buoyant. It's not as buoyant as the rescue can, but we use this for making unconscious and conscious rescue. Right? The reason why we use it for mostly unconscious rescue because you can manipulate it into a kind of donut shape
Mhm.
that you put around the victim
Mhm.
to secure them to you
Mhm.
and bring them to shore. You cannot make an unconscious rescue with a rescue can because there's no flexibility in it. All right,
Mhm.
this is very flexible, right, and it's very useful for making a rescue, unconscious rescue, unconscious rescue as well.
Mhm.
It's about 4 feet in length, right, and again you have the strap that you put around the lifeguard shoulders, and the excess strap is about 6 feet in length, so you have basically 6 and 4, 10 feet between you and the victim,
Mhm.
right? Because there are some rescues where, like a near drowning situation,
Mhm.
you don't want to get close to the victim, right? You
Mhm.
would slide the rescue tube to the victim
Mhm.
and tell them to hold on to it
Mhm.
while the 10 feet distance between you and the victim
Mhm.
is safe enough. So if the victim feels panicky and this is not going to save them and try to hold on to you,
Mhm.
you have enough space to get away from them. A lifeguard never let the way how we train them.
Mhm.
You don't let a active drowning person hold on to you. because that can cause some problems for you and the victim.
I know that very well.
Yeah.
I've had experience with that. In a pool though, pool water is very different from seawater, but yeah, once you get there, they're not in a frame of mind to think that if they grab onto you, a kind of how that both of you are going under. So
Mhm.
generally, it's not best practice to be going with nothing between the two of you trying to grab somebody who's panicked because they go hold on to you, they will pull you down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You don't want that, right? Because again, we train our lifeguards in case a drowning victim hold on to you as a lifeguard, the different techniques that you can use to get away from that person. Now, a drowning victim don't want to be submerged, right?
Mhm.
One of the techniques that we use to get away from them is to pull them under, right?
Mhm.
So most likely they're gonna let you go because they don't want. Once they let you go, you swim away from them, resurface either at the side or at the back of them, never in the front because they might struggle and do what they can to hold on to you again. Right? Make sure that you can advise them, sir, madam, I'm trying to help you. Right? Please hold on to the rescue can or the rescue tube. Do not hold on to me, or else I'm gonna have to push you under. Right?
Mhm.
If this person is really aggressive, right, then we will use other alternative of getting away, which I can't mention on live. Right? So
I completely understand. So,
yeah.
but the best way to avoid that situation altogether is for each of us to be responsible when we're going to the beach. So, what should we as beachgoers look out for when we're assessing whether it's safe to swim or if it's safe to continue swimming if we're out in the water?
Okay. So you go to the beach and because again the weather is unpredictable. You can go to the beach and the water is nice and calm. But
Mhm.
for some reason it changes where you have high surf coming in now.
Mhm.
That alone should tell you, hey, listen, I know I'm not a strong swimmer, right? So I'm not gonna really venture into the water. These high surf, the high surfs can cause something called riptides, right? We don't really have strong riptides here. We do have them, but not as strong as in Australia and Florida and so where they pull you miles out, right?
Mhm.
So you should avoid riptides. Riptides, how would one know that you're in a riptide? You get pulled out a little bit. Let's say you're about maybe 6 feet away from the shore, right? And a wave come in, the water running back to the sea,
Mhm.
sometimes form a riptide or undercurrent, and that would pull you out a little bit. Don't panic, right? Swim parallel to the riptide, okay? Don't
Okay, so you
swim
don't
getting back
swim
to shore.
against it, you swim across it.
Swim
Okay,
across.
so if it's pulling you back, you go left or right. If it's pulling you left, you go right. If it's pulling you right, you go left. If it's pulling you left, you go right. If it's pulling you right, you go left. If it's pulling you right, you go right. If it's pulling you left, you go right. If it's pulling you right, you go left. If it's pulling you right, you go right. If it's pulling you left, you go right. If it's pulling you right, you go left. If it's pulling you right, you go right. If it's pulling you left, you go right. If it's pulling you right, you go left. If it's pulling you right, you go right. If it's pulling you left, you go right. If it's pulling you right, you go left. If it's pulling you right, you go right. If it's pulling you left, you go right. Switch over. Mm. Are we?
Okay, we're back.
Right. So you were just telling us what to do in the event of a riptide.
Yeah. So you go to the beach, yes, and you encounter a riptide. Rather than swimming straight back to shore, right, you swim left or right, as we were saying just before the disconnection. And you swim left or right, you swim a good distance left or right, and then start to make your way back to shore. Right? Because the riptides sometimes only pull a couple of feet wide. Yeah. Right. There are other times when they're pulling like real wide, but there are times when they only pull a couple of feet wide. Right. So other things that you basically can look for, you go to the beach again, the drop off, right? Try to be aware of the drop off. And the drop off can happen at any beach really, right? Depending on how the surf is rolling in. Right? You don't want that. Also look for stony areas as well. To some beaches, because of how the tide is rolling in, right? It will kind of take away the sand and leave, the shore where the water is breaking very stony, right? And then it will bring back the sand and cover it again. Right? If it's very stony, you have to make sure that you don't go in the stony area, right? Because again, you can encounter sharp stones, sharp rocks, and so forth, and injure yourself. You don't want that, right? So you try to look out for these things. Also, watercrafts, people who are riding jet skis and so forth. You could be swimming along, and a jet ski just come and pass so close side you because they don't see you, right? So my advice to you would be, don't swim out. Swim parallel to the beach, right? And as close as possible to the shore. A jet ski not supposed to be operating that close to the shore. It's supposed to be at least 100 feet away from the shore. You're not going to be one swimming 100, about 100 meters, I should say, away from the shore. Right? So also look out for watercraft, jet skis, speedboats, and so forth. People who are fishing, not knowing that this is a swimming area and so forth. You might encounter the line and they pull the line and hook you and so forth. So you can look out for all these things.
That sounds painful, getting hooked by accident.
Yeah, you never want to encounter that. Right? Most of the time, it takes you to probably go to the hospital for them to cut the hook, pull it out. I would recommend that.
To cut it and pull it out?
So, yeah, to cut the hook, and pull it out.
So don't try to pull it out yourself. Okay.
Because it might hook real deep, might hook an artery or something, and you pull it out, you have severe bleeding right there. Right. So you cut the line, and you call 911, let them know your situation, and they will take care of you at the hospital. And it might need stitches as well too. So you don't want to be, being your own doctor and causing more problems.
True.
Yeah.
And on that note, I'd like to thank you so very much for coming and talking to us. Hopefully everybody would heed your advice and will keep themselves safe this Easter weekend and in the future continuing. It was very wonderful to have you, Mr. Lawrence. Thank you very much again for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And next week, we will be having Mr. Larry Francis of Indies Greens, who will be in to talk to us about their operations. So we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.